You are not rich. Look at you thinking you belong here. You're nothing but a joke in designer shoes. You're too poor and it's embarrassing.
But to understand how everything reached this point, we have to go back. Back to the day Kelechi first arrived at Golden Crest Academy. My driver left. That was the lie Kelechi told on his first day at Golden Crest Academy. The truth? He didn't have a driver. He didn't even have a bedroom of his own. Imagine pretending to be rich just to survive school. Then the girl you love finds out, and everything you built starts crumbling. This is the story no one saw coming. Kelechi grew up in a tiny one-room house on the edge of town where the roof leaked whenever it rained. His father repaired old motorcycles at a dusty roadside workshop while his mother sold vegetables in the local market. Money was always tight. But Kelechi had something powerful: his intelligence. Every night he studied under a dim lantern, determined that poverty would not define his future. Then, one day, a letter arrived, a scholarship to the prestigious Golden Crest Academy, the kind of school where the children of politicians, business tycoons, and celebrities studied. For Kelechi, it felt like a miracle. For the first time in his life, the door to a different world had opened. On his first day at Golden Crest, Kelechi felt the difference immediately. Luxury cars filled the drop-off lane. Drivers carried designer backpacks. Students stepped out wearing expensive watches and shoes that probably cost more than his father earned in months. Kelechi walked through the gates quietly, hoping no one would notice how out of place he felt. But someone did. A tall boy leaning against a black SUV watched him closely. His name was Chinedu, and everyone knew Chinedu was one of the richest students in the school. When another student casually asked Kelechi, "Which car did your driver bring you in?" Kelechi hesitated for a split second. Then he smiled. "Our driver left already." That tiny lie changed everything. Instantly, the other students assumed Kelechi was rich, like them. They began asking questions. What business did his father run? How many houses did his family own? Nervous but determined not to look poor, Kelechi said his father owned construction companies in Lagos. The attention shocked him. Students who ignored him before suddenly invited him to sit with them. Teachers treated him with a little more respect. For the first time since arriving at the elite academy, Kelechi felt like he belonged, but every question forced him to invent another lie. Each story had to match the previous one, and slowly those lies began stacking on top of each other like a fragile tower ready to collapse. Watching all of this quietly from a distance was Chinedu, and he wasn't convinced. Among all the students at Golden Crest, one person stood out. Her name was Ada. Unlike most of the students, Ada didn't care about expensive clothes or flashy phones. She often spent her afternoons reading under a large mango tree beside the school library. Ada believed one thing strongly: she hated fake people. One afternoon, Kelechi struggled with a complicated physics assignment. Seeing his frustration, Ada walked over and offered to help. She patiently explained the formulas until everything finally made sense. Kelechi was surprised. Unlike everyone else, Ada never asked about his family's wealth. She spoke to him like none of that mattered. And slowly, Kelechi began to fall for her. Soon, the two became inseparable. They studied together after school, shared jokes during lunch, walked toward the school gate every afternoon. Ada admired how hardworking and humble Kelechi seemed compared to the other boys. But inside, Kelechi carried a secret that grew heavier every day, because Ada valued honesty more than anything. If she discovered the truth that he was actually poor, would she still look at him the same way? The more he cared about her, the more terrifying the truth became. Meanwhile, Chinedu's suspicion grew stronger. For someone who claimed to be rich, Kelechi never spent money. He never talked about vacations abroad. He never invited anyone to his house. One afternoon, Chinedu made a decision. He followed Kelechi after school. At first, Kelechi walked through the busy streets like any normal student. But eventually, he turned down a narrow dirt road, and then Chinedu saw it. The place Kelechi entered was not a mansion. It was a small, run-down house with rusted roofing sheets. Chinedu smiled slowly. Now he knew the truth. The next day, Chinedu cornered Kelechi behind the school building. "You're not rich," he said calmly. Kelechi's heart dropped. Chinedu leaned closer. "I saw where you live." Panic filled Kelechi's chest. Everything he had built, his reputation, his friendships, even Ada's admiration was about to collapse. But Chinedu wasn't finished. "Relax," he said with a cold smile. "I won't tell anyone if you start doing something for me." Kelechi had just become trapped. For weeks, Chinedu forced him to run humiliating errands, carry his bags, do his assignments, take the blame when things went wrong. Every time Kelechi hesitated, Chinedu reminded him of the secrets that could destroy everything. The pressure became unbearable, and Ada noticed. One afternoon, she stopped him. "Kelechi, what's wrong with you lately?" For the first time, he couldn't lie anymore. That evening under the mango tree, Kelechi finally told Ada everything. The scholarship, his poor background, the lie about the driver, the blackmail. When he finished speaking, he couldn't even look at her. He expected anger, disappointment, maybe even rejection. Instead, Ada was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. "Kelechi, I never cared about your money." She explained that what attracted her to him was his intelligence, determination, and kindness, not his wealth. But she also said something he would never forget. "Lies destroy trust. If you want real happiness, you must always be honest." The next day, something unexpected happened. During lunch, Chinedu loudly announced to the entire class, "Everyone, our rich friend Kelechi has a secret." The room fell silent. Kelechi's heart pounded. But before Chinedu could continue, Ada stood up. "And what if he's not rich?" she said firmly. The entire class looked at her. "He earned a scholarship to be here. That means he deserves this place more than anyone." The room went quiet. Even Chinedu didn't know what to say. For the first time since arriving at Golden Crest Academy, Kelechi stopped pretending. And, strangely, that was the moment he finally felt like he truly belonged. Lies may seem harmless, but they destroy trust. True respect comes from honesty, hard work, and kindness. If you loved Kelechi's story, hit that subscribe button and join me for more tales you won't see coming.